the victims when they started it. Like, you can't hit a guy and not expect to get hit back.
That's interesting.
I think we should teach the women not to hit someone stronger than them. And they'll say, like, men are responsible for all the whores, you know? But I really think it's on the whores for being whores. I recently decided that women shouldn't vote.
You decided women shouldn't vote?
Yeah, that's a new opinion.
Why is that?
Okay.
I'll take one for the team, yeah.
Okay.
You should have the same opinions. You should be voting for the same person as your husband.
Why?
It's like, I don't know, you want to be in a house where you're arguing about politics?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want someone who thinks differently to me.
Good everyone, I'm Clever and welcome back to the Clever Report. So now, when we talk about the equality of man and woman, the equality of both sexes, I find it funny and ironic that feminists only clamor for equality when it benefits them, when it benefits their agenda and what they're talking about. But when you come to the larger conversation of things that we should be equal, then it should be crickets. So, Pearl Davis appeared on Trigonometry, the podcast of Constantine Kissing and Francis Foster. So she was giving her opinion on women's voting and women's rights and every other thing that concerns this, gender ideology that we'll talk about in this 2025. So I want us to watch the clip. Then I'll give you my take on that.
Yeah.
And that was the majority of women, when asked if they wanted to vote, said no. In the US. I don't know what it was like here.
Okay.
This is US. And I was like, why did women not want to vote now? So I read some of their writings from back then, okay? And they basically said this is the beginning of the breakdown of the family. Because back then, when you got married, you became one. And you trusted your husband to make that decision, okay? Now, that was one argument. And I was like, okay, well, but society's a little different today. Argument number 2. Back then, they had to be drafted. So any woman that wanted to vote had to go to war. Because you're voting, in the US anyway, for your commander-in-chief. Because if they go to war, who's going to have to deal with the consequence? And that's where we're at, is because if shit goes south and we go to war, the men are the ones that are going to have to deal with the consequences. So, yeah, I felt like if we want to vote, we should be equally, because women want equality, equally drafted, just like the men. And now you're thinking, we don't have the draft anymore, right? That's probably your thought. However, we have selective service in the US, meaning that if a man, and if there's a crisis, right, and we do go to war, the men have to be like they then can be taken to, I'm butchering it a little bit, does that make sense? But, and if they don't do this, they're fined $100,000.
Now, from the first argument Pearl was making about the family unit, it's very, very valid. Many people won't agree with her. Very, very valid, because when a man and a woman marries, they become one. And, constantly fighting, not agreeing on political ideas with your wife is very, very weird. It's very, very weird. The people that were making the argument for against suffragists or the suffrage, feminists, then were saying that this thing is going to destroy the family unit, whereby the man and the woman cannot even agree on who to vote for. So the family unit was given one vote, and the man and the father, the husband, was interested with knowing what is best for the family. Does it mean that the men mostly know what is best for the family in general, or they cannot get it wrong? No. But I'm just saying in general that this responsibility was bestowed on the man for the betterment of the family. So I can see her point on that. And then the second one is coming about this selective service. So I find it so funny that feminists always say equality of opportunity, equality of everything, but you never see them make argument for selective service. In the olden days, where people were being drafted in the military, once you are an 18-year-old boy, you are eligible for selective service. So how come that, especially in the United States, we don't have selective service in Nigeria? How come that women in the United States have the power to elect who the commander-in-chief is going to be? Commander-in-chief, the president that is going to largely decide. I know Congress in the USA is responsible for declaring war, or this commander-in-chief, for any military action, sending the boys, sending the Marines, sending the 82nd Air Force born, he or she is the person going to decide this thing. Well, I find it so funny that women have the right to decide this, but they don't have a skin in the game. So you have all the rights and zero responsibilities. And from Pearl's political outlook, she's saying that the outcome of women voting Who votes for all the degeneracies? Women. Who votes for men in women's sports? Women. So who votes for all these? If you remove the bulk of women's votes, the United States will become like a red country, because women vote emotionally in general. They are single issue voters. So many women were actually prepared to sell out democracy in the United States just for abortion, first for the right to kill their own kids, to vote for Kamala Harris. There was nothing again. There was no policy. There was no sensible policy. They were policy reason that they were voting for her just because she's a woman and she's going to give them abortion rights. And this abortion right that even President Trump did not federalize, he actually left it to the states, depending on where you are. If you're in a red state, probably it to be illegal, and if you're in a blue state, and you can actually go to another state if you want to have abortion in the United States. So when we talk about the outcomes of women votes, and check all the advertising companies, they pander to women, the politicians, they pander to women because they know that women are more susceptible to propaganda, and then they can be swayed easily. Now, do I really think this can happen in my lifetime of women not voting? No. But I see the argument. I see the argument against it because the outcome is worse for the society in general. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So remember, these are my opinions. They are my opinions. I'm not forcing it on anybody. Give me your own take on it on the comment section, respectively. I'm not factually saying that women shouldn't vote, but these are just my opinions, and I'm highlighting what Pearl said in that clip. So make sure you like, subscribe, do all the fun things, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. I love you, but God loves you more.